Today, I'm going to talk about virtual assets and how we kind of use those at AssetWorks. So a question that we often run into during the implementation process is, here, I have this thing that I do that I need to track time and equipment against, but it's sort of an ongoing activity or a large scope of work, and we cannot create hundreds of work orders every time we do it. That'd be too many work orders. The techs out there would hate it. And those activities are often things like plowing during a snowstorm, or patching all the potholes in the spring, or mowing grass, vegetation control, especially when those activities happen along a road, which is a linear asset. So in those cases, we've really got a lot of people going out there and doing the work against a lot of assets. So our solution is what we've started calling the virtual asset. And with virtual assets, that larger activity is actually the asset that the work order is written against. So that snowstorm or the act of vegetation control, that's the asset, instead of hundreds of road segments that the work is actually against. And this is a really good solution because it balances an organization's need to collect data and then report on it without bombarding the techs out there doing the work on the work orders. So if you think about snow plowing, that when it snows, you're going to plow all of the streets and the sidewalks and the parking lots. And there's often a hierarchy in place of what order those things get plowed in. And that information doesn't necessarily need to be on the work order, but we do need to know maybe how many people, how many hours, what the cost of the equipment was, all of those things that go in to managing that snow event. So then on the work order, techs can report their time and their equipment fairly normally. We will work with our customers to structure their data, like their tasks and their equipment, and work with them and train their techs to follow a specific business process while they're doing their reporting out in the field on the mobile app or at the end of their shift. So all that data, that leadership and whatever other powers that be within an organization, make sure that data is available to them and still coming through on those work orders. So then with AssetWorks ad hoc reporting capabilities, we can help our customers create a specific report where all that data is visible and readily available. Like I said, whether that's cost data or labor hours or equipment usage, anything that's important to know about that ongoing sort of work that can span a very large geographic area, it's going to be available. And then meanwhile, your techs, they're pretty pleased with this solution because if they spent all day in a lawnmower or in a snowplower doing the same thing all day long, that's just one work order they have to keep track of instead of a bunch of work orders for maybe the different roads they cleared or mowed along. And then I have kind of an example of how this could apply. So you think about vegetation control. You can look at that work order and see which piece of equipment was used and mostly be able to know what kind of work was done. Were they on a lawnmower? Were they using a weed whipper? And then, based on their equipment, what they were doing. But we can create task codes and leverage the notes capability in the system to fill in those gaps. So maybe answering the question of where was that work specifically performed at? On a need-to-know basis, we have the capabilities to share that when it's needed. Again, it's a balancing act. What information do you need, and are you going to make your technicians report? You kind of want to find that happy spot so they're not spending an hour at the end of the day doing their work orders. No two customers have an identical process or use case around the virtual asset, and that's okay. It really goes to show how tailored this system can be and this functionality or concept to meet a specific organization's needs.